Now, pop-ups and SEO do not go hand in hand, but they are both pretty darned important, and that can be a dilemma for any webmaster or online business owner. So the question is, when it comes to pop-ups, should we use them at all or avoid them like the plague? As you might be aware by this point, good search engine optimization, or SEO, is the fine art of bringing free organic traffic to your website. It's the long-term traffic strategy that most online business owners and webmasters want. After all, without SEO, how long do you think you can survive if you're only driving traffic towards you with paid ads? Spendy, spendy, spendy. Yet on the other hand, what good is all that traffic if it doesn't convert into leads? You can drive thousands and thousands of traffic visitors to your website via paid or organic channels, but they won't really matter if they don't convert. And pop-ups were invented to do just that, to help convert random website visitors into business leads. And still, according to the latest studies, assuming your pop-up ads are well thought out, highly effective pop-up ads can convert at a 9.28% conversion rate. That's really not bad at all. The problem today is that Google hates these intrusive pop-ups. Websites that heavily use pop-ups get demoted in Google's search engine results pages, or SERPs. Google simply devalues what it considers intrusive pop-ups that ruin the user experience. So, we're at a crossroads here. Either we never use pop-ups and strive to get better and better at search engine rankings only, or we use pop-ups and sacrifice some of that good position in the SERPs and then focus our efforts on getting better at lead generation. Well, as it turns out, the good news is that there is a third option as well. You can use pop-ups to a certain extent, that is, without hurting your search engine rankings. In this video, we are going to talk about exactly how. Let's begin by discussing examples of intrusive pop-ups, which are the kinds of pop-ups you must truly avoid at all costs. Then we'll look at a few workarounds to use pop-ups without damaging your search engine rankings. So first, what are considered intrusive pop-ups? Google has openly declared that it does not like websites that ruin the user experience with intrusive pop-ups and ads. This is especially true in the case of mobile interstitials. For desktop versions, the situation is a lot more relaxed, at least for now. But for that precious tiny little real estate on mobile screens, watch out. So before we even dip our toes in the good waters, here are some pop-ups you should definitely avoid in general. Any pop-up at all that covers content and forces users to manually close it to continue reading. No bueno. Any form of standalone interstitials that users have to manually dismiss before they can access your content. And page layouts that cleverly make the above-the-fold portion of the web page look like an interstitial. These are the big no-nos. But other than that, we have also seen Google penalize other pop-ups and interstitial elements in the past as well. So let's also avoid these: splash ads that interrupt users when they are navigating from page to page, class interstitial ads that interrupt users before they reach the homepage of your website, new window pop-ups that appear whenever a user clicks on a new page, overlay models that easily redirect users to a different page or that are just hard to close and affect the user experience, and intrusive lightbox ads and pop-ups have also been penalized in the past by Google. Okay, that does it for the worst of the bunch. But what does that leave us to work with? Well, there are still a few ways that you can use pop-ups for generating leads. These include non-intrusive interstitials. Again, it's very important to understand that Google doesn't just hate pop-ups, it hates intrusive pop-ups. So as long as your pop-ups are non-intrusive, you can show them on your website and it won't damage your search engine rankings. For instance, you can show non-intrusive interstitials that you are legally required to display. For example, age verification interstitials or cookie usage notifications, things like that. In addition, other pop-ups that take up less than 15% of the screen are totally allowed. So considering this, you should feel free to leverage these pop-ups as much as possible. These can include banner ads, slide-ins, inlines, and tabs that take up less than 15% of the screen. So long as they are easy to dismiss, these kinds of interstitials are completely non-intrusive and therefore don't affect the user experience in any negative way, which is the whole name of the game. Timed pop-ups can also be okay. If you say that you just can't live without overlay pop-ups, which are much more intrusive than slide-ins and banner ads that take up less than 15% of the screen, then at least consider resorting to timed pop-ups. Although they are relatively riskier, timed pop-ups can still be considered the safer option. Also, take note that the major rookie mistake that many website owners make is that they show the pop-up as soon as a user lands on the web page. Avoid this, that's the wrong strategy. Assume the following scenario. Someone searches for a keyword, finds your web page in the Google search engine results, clicks on it, lands on your website, and is immediately greeted with an intrusive pop-up. Annoying. They quit right away or within 2 or 3 seconds and go back to Google's search engine results pages to find another website. Google for sure notices this. In fact, it marks it all down as a bad user experience, or why else would the user have quit the web page so soon? And all of this translates into the demotion of your website's search engine rankings, which is most likely what you don't want. Therefore, instead of slapping an intrusive pop-up right away, at least wait for a little while. Time your pop-ups strategically so they appear when at least a few seconds have passed and the user has had time to engage with your content. For example, you can even time your pop-up to appear, let's say, after 5 seconds. Even this won't look as intrusive as it would have otherwise, and it will also give Google less chance to count it as a bad user experience in case the visitor quits your website. Exit intent pop-ups. Perhaps the safest way to make sure Google doesn't penalize your website for showing pop-ups is to resort to these exit intent pop-ups. After all, this is super logical. When a user is already quitting your website, it really doesn't do any harm to make at least one last attempt to convert them into a lead with a catchy lead magnet, or a white paper, a case study, and so on. And John Mueller from Google has also confirmed that Google doesn't penalize websites with exit intent pop-ups. So there's your chance at a pretty safe bet. If you want to look into it, Opt-in Monster and Thrive Leads are two plugins that have great exit intent pop-ups. Optimonk is also another excellent option. So, those are relatively safe ways to include some pop-ups in an attempt to convert. But let's round this out with some gray areas. Proceed with caution and make good decisions. For now, at least, Google is specifically focusing on mobile websites that have intrusive pop-ups. And as I said, they aren't quite as strict with the desktop versions of websites. So, one way to counter this is to stop showing intrusive pop-ups on the mobile version of your website, while continuing to show them on the desktop version. But it can't be overstated, however, that intrusive pop-ups do tend to lead to a bad user experience. And bear in mind that while this strategy might be okay for the moment, a new Google update is never that far away, and there's no telling if this issue is widespread enough to warrant a penalty to put the kibosh on it. So there is some risk involved, but you can use it at least for the time being. You can also use page-to-page interstitials. John Mueller from Google confirmed that Google only pays attention to pop-ups that appear in between the user's journey from the search engine results pages to the website. So one solution would be to not show any pop-up ads on the first page, but then start showing them only when the user clicks on any subsequent page. In other words, interstitials between site pages are still fine. However, repeat, if they are leading to a very bad user experience, then Google may still end up penalizing you. So don't go bonkers. In conclusion, these were some actionable and practical tips for you regarding how to use pop-ups while still avoiding Google's search engine penalties. Whenever in doubt, it's pretty simple. Just focus on that all-important user experience. If it is not an annoyance, then you should be fine. However, if it is, then perhaps you should focus on making the user experience better. After all, you can be sure of one thing. Google will never penalize anyone for eliciting a great user experience. Feel free to check out our other videos so that you can keep fine-tuning and getting the most out of your SEO. And click subscribe to stay updated with new tips and tricks to get you to the top of the search engine results pages.